When I was younger, I skipped out on the Wii because the name was stupid. I was 7, so that explains the rationality behind it. And after all these years, looking back, I kinda regret my decision, missing out on classics like Hell's Kitchen, Game Party, Chicken Shoot, all these amazing releases that were getting cranked out month by month. But there was one company who put their nose to the grindstone, tearing cartilage, reaching bone, giving us a plethora of underworld gems that I'm ashamed I never got to play. Data Design Interactive. Today, we're gonna look at some of their awesome games that I never got to experience, and to repent for my sins for not getting a Wii earlier on in life, I wanted to try fully emulating motion controls on a regular Xbox controller, really driving the fun home. I'll be accomplishing this mission behind the wheel of my monster truck, or excuse me, monster trucks with an X. We got 3 whole modes in single race, time trials, and challenge, 2 trucks to start, Doom and Flame, with plenty more unlockables we can sink our teeth into later down the line. Look at all these levels they give us too, there's so many, there's no way this could be misleading. And we're off, hightailing it through the dirt, going against our rivals, all having the same goal in reaching the end of this exhilarating race, becoming the greatest monster trucks with an X driver in the history of all trucks, being watched on by a stretched image of people plastered in the stands, cheering each and every turn, sipping on their sody pop, showered in bong resin, enjoying the show. What a universe Data Design Interactive has created for us gamers. Now, I'm sure that's how they wanted us to feel while we're racing. Unfortunately, that's not even close to how it really goes. It's more the player asking, did we put any thought into the game we are releasing to the public for money, sort of deal. If we revert back to the character selection screen, none of these trucks have differing stats. Even the unlockables, they're all the same. The fact not a single one has unique acceleration, armor, handling, whatever, makes any choice you could possibly decide from kinda pointless. As with the sheer idea of unlocking anything, why would any living soul want to sit there, wasting their time, grinding away, getting these oh so amazing golden dollar signs to line their pockets with Benjamins, releasing the other trucks from the dark depths, when they are all essentially the same, and in some cases, they are quite literally the same. If you take the legendary 4-wheeled demon, Flame, and look at another one you unlock called Midnight, it's the same exact truck with the color changed. The other starting one, Doom, has a similar situation with Crush. All they did was stick a couple extra bones on top, calling it something new. So already, you can see the levels of effort maxing we're dealing with here, and we haven't even gotten into the actual gameplay yet, which I would hope is self-explanatory. You drive on these sick-ass tracks with no minimap. It must have taken too much effort to stick one in. Cut any corners you can, as the life rulebook says. All you need to do is beat the other racers and get first place, a task that is much easier said than done thanks to how egregious the rubber banding is. Somehow, some way, if you happen to take lead, everyone will catch up, no problem. Or on the other hand, if you're lacking behind even slightly, you get to witness a generational gap in real time, making it impossible to catch up to anybody when playing on anything but easy mode. It was genuinely appalling how difficult it was to compete with the circus on medium. I tried for about 20 minutes, repeatedly losing, until I rage quit and went to easy mode where it was more reasonable. It wasn't fun, but at least I could start paving my way forward, unlocking the new tracks. You need to go down this list, winning in first place to open the next track. We have 16 in total. That isn't actually 16, it's fucking 4 that recycle. These 4 tracks under the sun icon are the only unique tracks in the game. You play them mirrored on the next set of 4, then you play all the same tracks again, but at nighttime. Finally, you're expected to go through that set for a 4th time, mirrored again. These mouth breathers attempted to pull off the greatest hoodwink of the decade, trying to bait you into thinking Monster Trucks has more content than it actually does when it comes to the vehicles and the tracks. If you want the cliff notes for this debacle, Monster Trucks Arenas is a game that has you drive what might as well be the same truck on tracks that have hardly any visual variety. As you go through the game, you repeat those said tracks multiple times, unlocking trucks that don't have individualized stats. Who is this for? You're in this endless Twilight Zone episode attempting to locate the fun dimension that can't be done. Everything is the same. All I wanted to do was grind it up, driving my monster trucks with an X, becoming the greatest racer the world has ever seen, and this is the treatment I get for it. So maybe in the sequel, things will get better. Yeah, Monster Trucks Arenas actually does have a sequel called Monster Trucks Off-Road. If you look at the case, right, there's no way this could be the same exact game. Hard-working, blue-collared Sigma males like Data Design Interactive would never do such a thing. Off-Road has the same exact trucks because they knew the fans wanted them back. That's why each of them were copy-pasted over. As with the unlocking system, the amount it takes to unlock each truck, the menus, the game modes, fans wanted it all back. Data Design even listened to fan criticism. They got rid of you needing to play the same 4 tracks 4 times and dropped it down to 3. This game is the 07 Jericho return in gaming form. Nothing but Chuck E. Cheese birthday party surprises all round. Look, they even added a mini-map. Them adding it definitely isn't sleight of hand to make it look like a different game at a glance. Fans wanted it, fans got it. For fuck's sake, dude, how many screws need to be loose upstairs for you to release this and call it a sequel? You're still driving around with awful physics where you can barely control yourself half the time. It might actually be worse since these tracks have more bumps and jumps on them. You're dealing with this in the same trucks you were using before, unlocking them in the same order. The only actual new piece of content is the 4 tracks you were given. Oh boy, the ground is different. That makes up for everything. You want to know the funniest thing though? Monster Trucks Off-Road isn't even a sequel. I initially thought it was because it released after Arenas on the Wii. Apparently, it released back in 2005 on the PS2, and they brought it over here 3 years later with a different name. There, it was called Monster Trucks Extreme Off-Road. So let me correct myself from earlier. How many screws do you need to have loose upstairs for you to call Monster Trucks Arenas a sequel to this? But either way you look at it, it's the same exact game. Better yet, there's another game, simply called Off-Road Extreme, that has track textures that are clearly reused from Monster Trucks Off-Road, along with the physics, unlock system, gameplay, and everything else. All they did to make that was swap the vehicle models and spice it up a bit more by adding a few lies under the title. It says ATV, karts, quads, Motox, buggies, and Baja. If you take that at face value, there are no ATVs, quads, or motorcycles at all in this game. Buggies is spelt wrong. I just don't get it. Why did they lie about the content in the game? Especially when it's something this stupid. Were they assuming someone would pick the case up and just not want it anymore if Motox wasn't on the front? And yes, pedants, I know it's supposed to mean motocross. Regardless, it doesn't excuse the lying. I'm being torn in 2 different directions. Is the lying worse? Or the fact we've only looked at 3 games and the content recycle hustling is this bad? All 3 of them are basically the same thing, but they have sorcery in between to make pretend they aren't. It's incredible. There may be people out in the galaxy who would still attempt justifying this sociopathic behavior after seeing all that by saying, well, maybe it's part of the Monster Trucks universe. Data Design wanted to create a multi-layered MCU-adjacent situation for their automobiles, connecting those 3 games together. Well, if that's the case, might as well add a 4th one in here, branching out into the fabled Quad Zone, and I just can't believe the Kawasaki name is all over this thing. Who got their sausage torqued to allow for this to happen? You did a brand deal with these people. Back in these times, companies must have just not cared or really looked at what they were being endorsed by when it comes to video games. It just blows my mind a company willingly worked with these guys. When it comes to the second to none features we are given with this one, the overall amount of vehicles was reduced to only 4. Not sure why. I guess they figured, why reskin 10 vehicles when we only need to do a couple? Chop down on that elbow grease. Data Design also pulled out a new rabbit from the hat when trying to make it look like there's a lot of tracks. There's no nighttime slop here, people. We made 6 original tracks per world until you unlock more, realizing they make you play the same ones twice in each category. The massive overhaul excuse they use to have you repeat the tracks again is scattering a little bit of debris around the place. Stick a couple stumps and branches on the ground, that's different enough, right? Why not just make a new track? Is it really that hefty of a challenge? What's even more pathetic is how the 3 tracks per world reuse layouts between each other. As I was playing through the beach tracks, I started noticing the first half of the track's layout is reused in all of them. All they did was slightly open the track more, adding a few new bends as you go down the line. So even when they're making the original tracks, it's still copy-pasting, cutting corners. This could have been going down in the other games we talked about and I just didn't realize it, but here it's painstakingly obvious. Whoever's Ballpark Frank got slobbered on must have had a very, very good time with it. We didn't just get one Kawasaki brand deal game, we got 3. Quad bikes, jet ski, and snowmobile. No motorcycle though, I wonder why. They all follow suit with quad bikes, attempting the same bait with the amount of tracks, racing your otherworldly opposition that cheat up the wazoo if you play on anything but easy mode, sharing controls, physics, unlock systems, and menus with every game we've talked about so far, only having minuscule differences like how you can jump in quad bikes. Regardless of that though, all 6 of these racing titles are essentially the same game. Your only tangible difference is the visual of what you are driving. And we could go on and on about these racers. It doesn't stop there. If you look at Rig Racer 2, that isn't a sequel by the way, Rig Racer 1 does not exist, how could you be so dense as a company to make a mistake like this? Of course, it has the same menu every other game has, as with the unlocking system, but it's a game that has vehicles with stats, so there's one positive. We got another one where you can barely play the game at some points. Look at this shit. We start the race, drive for about 5 seconds, and all the trucks are dogpiling on top of each other, making it impossible to go around this turn. I literally could not beat this track. I had to go back to the first track, keep grinding it to unlock one of the better trucks that had a higher top speed to give me better chances at conquering this corner, since it's not guaranteed regardless of which one you choose. I love when my games are like slot machines where I gamble my time away and get nothing in return. Rig Racers 2 is another example of the never-ending entries of reskinned car games. The games may not seem connected, but when you play them, that familiarity starts oozing out of every orifice a big rig can have. So after dealing with 7 racing titles that might as well be the same game, you need to branch out while still satiating that automobile fetish, of course. Everyone wants to plug themselves up with a tailpipe, and that's what London Taxi Rush Hour will help us do. A game, before you even play it, you already know what it's going to be ripping off. Believe it or not, the menus are menus you've already seen before. We get 3 modes in Time Games, Money Games, and Perfect Day. Choose how long you want to play for. Obviously going with the shortest amount of time. Our only playable character is Andy, and we also have that same unlocking system we've come to know and love. Upon selecting our one brave soul, we're plopped into Westminster, driving around, picking up random people, delivering them to wherever the arrow is pointing towards. If you don't know what game I was referring to when I said London Taxi is ripping off another game, it's Crazy Taxi. The loop is copy and pasted from that, except it's missing the fun and even the visual variety. You better get used to viewing the sights of these block-ass smoothed out streets, because this is all you're ever gonna see. No joke, London Taxi has one level where you do the same thing over and over again. Drive person here, drive person there, drive person everywhere, while ensuring you don't make them angry by crashing into things and also keeping your car clean by getting cleaning cubes spinning around on the sidewalk. If you don't do this, the Westminster people won't tip you, and you need that score to go up. Otherwise, you get your nothing. Data Design tossed in a curveball with the unlocks. The money from dropping people off are essentially just points. They don't go towards unlocking anything. Instead, you need to look around for these bulldog coins, scraping up enough of them to unlock yourself a new character that are all the same car, just a different color. A worthy unlock for the ages. As I was playing this game more and more, I was having a blast. Who wouldn't enjoy this? But I felt like I recognized this map from another game. Oh, that's right. My favorite game, British Classic Motor Racing, where they took 3 separate sections of the London Taxi map and made it half the tracks in that game. Alright, fuck the cars. No more cars. Rather than looking at more of these, we need to see what Hamster Heroes is all about. If you go old school, reading the back of the case, right under these oddly familiar screenshots, it says, "The evil Hamster X has trapped the Hamster Heroes in his secret lab. 15 perplexing puzzle levels stand in their way of freedom. Can you complete them all and release Sergeant Fluff, Katana, and Superham from the clutches of Hamster X?" Interesting how the guy supposedly wants these other hamsters dead, but he's a playable character working alongside them to escape his own prison. Maybe it's to overshadow his unoriginality of puzzle creation? If it wasn't abundantly clear, the Lords of Gaming gave us a Super Monkey Ball clone, stacking on to the idea of how Data Design Interactive either do what they can to cut corners and not put effort in, or refuse to come up with anything on their own. In the case of Hamster Heroes, the mentality is finding an idea that looks easy to copy, make it, and deliver it to the public for money. Quality, passion, and fun go right out the window. For them, and for me. As I said in the beginning, I wanted to see how emulating motion controls would go for me. Up to this point, it was fine. I could bust a few turns in the racing games, but in Hamster Heroes, I kept moving at ungodly speeds to the point I couldn't even control it. I can't tell if it's the game or the emulated controls. However, I do have evidence to believe it's the game that we'll get to later, but trying to finish the first 2 to 3 levels was almost impossible. No matter what I did, life could not go on. So I rage quit and put in the new hot game series you may or may not have heard of, Mythmakers Orbs of Doom. Dude, no way, the same menu system? Dude, no way, another Monkey Ball clone? Dude, no way, it controls like shit? At the very least, the levels are different. None of the ones I played looked like they were ripped right from Hamster Heroes, so that's something. Never in my life would I think praising a game for not recycling content would be a real moment. Here we are. All of these probably new levels we are given also have unbelievably in-depth descriptions to let you know what you're getting in on. For example, this one says, Easterville, turntable, full stop. Whether a player had a good time with either of these games is up for debate. I think you could just buy the objectively better Super Monkey Ball and blow both of them out of the water and never look in their direction again. But we do live in a world where people like to be peed on or buy farts contained in mason jars, so what do I know? Aside from how amazing the characters in Mythmakers are, the second you see the selection screen, you know they're instant classics. They need another game. And luckily, Data Design gave us that other game a year earlier. Mythmakers Super Kart GP. That's right, you can only escape cars for so long. We've returned to what the prophecies foretold all those eons ago, only because it needs to be mentioned for how terribly designed it is. All comes off as normal at first for Data Design standards, other than how Trixie has both of the stats we're given fully maxed out. What is this play? What's the point of trying anyone else if the first character's stats are cranked up like this? Whatever, that's not even the biggest problem. The track design is where the real entertainment rears its head. It appears they had the brilliant idea of not letting you brake or slow down whatsoever if you're being boosted, making any and all boost pads bring you to Bone Town if you attempt utilizing them. Look at this. We have one leading right off the edge. If you touch it, you're gonna skyrocket into the blue paint bucket or crash into a tree. This one sends you right into a wall shortly before the finish line, making you freak out and fly all over the place. We got another one sending you right off a cliff almost. It's ridiculous. And even if they don't send you to your doom or outright ruin the race for you, the idea of not being able to brake, period, until the boost is completely gone is genuinely one of the most ape-brained things I've ever heard. With the amount of hairpin turns they tried putting on these tracks, there's no point to ever use them. Boosts hurt you far more than they help. And assuming you're also keeping in mind how the AI behaved way back in Monster Trucks Arenas, that whole sickening rubber banding, that exists in Mythmakers GP as well, alongside every other problem each of these racing games have. Data Design's passive ability allows you to keep going down their line of games, showing new problems with all the older ones still pertaining. That being laziness, reusing assets, cutting corners, bad physics, lies, you name it. And yeah, this video may seem all over the place, but this is how it happens with Data Design Interactive. It never ends. Like, if you were to ask the question, is Mythmakers Super Kart GP a reskin of a different game? Yeah, it is. Mythmaker Supercart has the entirety of its gameplay loop, physics, items you pick up, sound effects, all taken from Action Girls Racing. It's inherently the same game that released a year earlier in 2005. All they did was make a couple new tracks, probably, and reskin the vehicle and item models. So if you want to build another timeline again, like we did with the Monster Truck saga, these knuckleheads released one game first, Action Girls Racing. They design new characters and textures to reskin that game, then they take those characters and textures from Mythmaker Supercart GP to make Orbs of Doom that is ripping off Super Monkey Ball, and best of all, they just reskinned Hamster Heroes to make the Mythmaker's Super Monkey Ball clone. I feel like I'm going insane. The DDU, the Data Design Universe, has so many rabbit holes of recycling content, it's like watching a wrestling channel on YouTube. The laziness is fucking incredible. You can play one game and find out it's ripping off a franchise using recycled content that's from another game recycling content. I don't know whether to be impressed with the lengths they go to recycle or be disgusted how this is a real thing that a company actually did, making me want to step back and just wonder, will I accidentally fall into a rabbit hole by trying one of their games that doesn't appear to have any attachments to it? It's called Battle Rage Mech Conflict. I looked through their entire catalog and I didn't find anything that looked similar to this, so maybe it can be a step in the right direction. Battle Rage immediately flashbangs you with an opening story, setting up the scenario you're going to be dealing with. Believe it or not, this is something worth mentioning for a data design game. Typically, we're only left with our guesses and assumptions when it comes to the universe we're stomaching. Not only this, they added even more to the stunners, giving you individualized characters, having unique weapons between each other. Is that real thought I see? They even let us choose where we want to put points between health, offense, defense, and shield. This obviously isn't gaming's equivalent to the moon landing, but it's something. It's actual substance. After all this time, when you actually start playing the game, you're stuck in a 1v1 scuffle going against a mentally stunted stump robot. I say this because it walked off the cliff like twice during our battle and struggled to figure out where it was going half the time as I blasted away at it with my shotgun. While all this was happening, I also unknowingly partook in a secret challenge of can you beat Battle Rage Mech Conflict without jumping, thanks to me being hindered with my control. No matter what tactics I tried, I could not get the moving a nunchuck controller upwards motion to function, so no jumping for me. It's not like it matters anyways. The AI is so brain dead and more than easy to exploit. If you do this maneuver of finding one spot to stand in, force your opponent to come to you, you stand there, shoot them, Zarya bubble, shoot them, kill them. Repeat that 5 times per level, and you win. The only battle that was remotely close to challenging was the final boss, mainly because I couldn't jump in a level that was centered around verticality. I was inevitable though. My maneuver of shooting the floor next to me with a rocket launcher propelled me to victory. I even got my badge of honor. Congratulations, you have won the Battle Rage tournament and earned your freedom. The awareness on this one is impeccable. But at a simple glance, you can tell Battle Rage is the closest thing up to this point that you could call a game. It's not good by any means. Surely you could find other mech-style titles on the Wii or other consoles that would hold attention for much longer and be more enjoyable overall. This one just has enough going on to where you could see a down bad family somewhere in the world saying this is fun if they've never played another game. Am I gonna sit there 100%ing the game, going down the line one by one, unlocking all the characters? Absolutely not. I need an hourly wage to do that. Beating this game once is enough for me. Mech Conflict may win the contrast bias battle. When you're comparing it to the entire landscape of gaming, I'm good, no thanks. I'll still give it some credit though. Sure, they were probably ripping off another game or franchise. At least they didn't make this using recycled assets or reuse Mech Conflict's assets to make another game. There's an inkling of humanity with this one. With all that said, I'm still left with one question. I was taking a look at the advertisements. Apparently, Battle Rage Mech Conflicts was going to have the ability to switch to a 3D mode, requiring you to wear actual 3D glasses while playing. There's footage of it. It's real, but that feature doesn't exist in the menus. Did they get rid of it? Maybe it required too much effort. Normally, you'd ask, why are they making false advertisements about their game? But at this point, I'm just happy I found something that isn't copy-pasted. That's how low the bar is. It's a huge moment for DDU fans everywhere. So let's take a look at another all-original one-and-done gem stuck into the DDU in the year 2005. Ninja Bread Man. Surely this wasn't copy-pasted multiple times after its release? Level 1. Training Dojo. This level releases us into a world of cookies and candy, learning the pillars of Ninja Bread Man, jumping across platforms, slicing up tough enemies that stand still, and throw shurikens at targets. After you complete the tutorial, we enter the Lollipop Forest, where the real game begins. Our goal is to collect 8 of these batteries, whatever they're supposed to be, to open our teleporter to the next level. There's an arrow in the bottom corner directing our way to them. Usually we're expected to do a little bit of parkouring to reach said batteries, and that's really all you do. You don't need to do anything else. You can skip every enemy in the entire game if you really wanted to. It's not like anyone would want to fight the cake monsters anyways. Whenever you try to melee them, Ninja Bread Man has a weird bug, making it so you can't attack if you're standing too close. So you need to attack, then walk forward, timing the animation right to deal damage. Better yet, when you spelunk your way around that bug, your attacks have a chance to go straight through your enemies anyways. So the Galaxy Brain play is just not fighting them to save yourself from a migraine and appalling levels of confusion. As long as you hyperfixate on the 8 batteries, you are always winner. All you miss out on by not killing anything are those precious points. Gotta grind that leaderboard. My lord, man. They seriously should have just made all the other Miis beat you up in the town square if you had Ninja Bread Man in your catalog. I can be as satirically optimistic as I want, but I can't hide how sad Ninja Bread Man is. Every level outside of the tutorial may appear to be different visually. In reality, they aren't. It's all the same. Follow the arrow, ignore all enemies, get your batteries, deal with stiff platforming, and jumps that choose when they want to register or not. Enter your teleporter, finishing your 3 levels. No joke, 3 levels that we don't even get a congratulations for. Upon completion, when you win, it just goes right back to the main menu. You get nothing. You know, I'm really shocked they only went with 3. Surely you could have turned them around, having you play the level backwards. Maybe you'd be able to change the sky to a different color. Then this 3 could be turned into 9. No, this was 2005. It was still early in the DDU. Those genius moves weren't coming in until around 06, 07. Or it could have just been too much work, needing to create new respawn points, switching colors around. No one's gonna do all that for one game. Instead, they're gonna break out the pencil, mock up some new sketches to take the glory that we've all seen with Ninja Bread Man and build 2 more games that are fucking identical. The villagers thought Ninja Bread Man was its own standalone title in the DDU. The villagers were wrong. They were all spayed for making that assumption. We got Rock and Roll Adventures and Anubis 2, where just like Rig Racers, there is no Anubis 1, only Anubis 2, that both follow a similar suit to Ninja Bread Man. The gameplay is exactly the same bug with the melee attack, same goal of collecting 8 of an item. In Rock and Roll Adventures, it's a CD, and in Anubis 2, it's a pyramid. Unexpectedly, the levels for each of them appeared to be original, aside from the tutorial level in Anubis 2, that is literally a reskinned version of the one from Ninja Bread Man. This game also has bonus stages. I got my floors mopped in about 2 seconds when I tried one. Overall though, these might as well all be the same game. If you played and beat Ninja Bread Man, you've beaten Rock and Roll Adventures and Anubis 2 without even knowing it. It's seriously hard for me to believe after playing 17 games, only one of them did not have reused assets or have their assets reused to make something else. 99% of Data Design's games were like an electronic udder. You release it and see how much you can milk it. This strategy was also used by 2 other infamous European game companies you've most likely heard of, Phoenix Games and Blast Entertainment. Their goal was to make games as fast and as cheap as possible, so it makes you wonder, what if 2 of the most powerful, dominant forces in the gaming industry teamed up to make a game? Well, just like the ultimate tag teams of Undertaker and Kane, Jesus and Moses, whoever, Blast Entertainment and Data Design Interactive assembled the 2-headed dragon of the gaming industry to give society Casper and the Ghostly Trio. And I guarantee you know where this is going. That's right, we have another Ninja Bread Man clone. The only real difference is how we only need to collect 4 items per level instead of 8. What a punch to the gut that is. Also, we don't have a melee attack this time around. We're given a ball of light that explodes. I don't know what that is. I don't know anything anymore, to be frank. Did Blast just look at Ninja Bread Man and go, whoa, we need to get in on some of that? How are they doing this? That may sound like hyperbole, but if you consider how one of the other games Data Design and Blast both have their name on, American Tail, that is stylized like almost every other Blast Entertainment game, with a few DDU specials tossed in there, like how on the first level, we're playing a Super Monkey Ball minigame that controls horrifically. This was my evidence I mentioned earlier when I said I didn't know if it was the emulated motion controls or the game itself with Hamster Heroes. I'm playing American Tail on PS2, no motion controls, and you move so fast it's borderline unplayable. Next, I'm sitting on the back of Henry grabbing pieces of Cinnamon Toast Crunch to try staying afloat above water that forgets it's supposed to be moving, while the entire game is struggling to function at a stable frame rate. What else is in the pot of tricks for a movie that shouldn't have a game made about it? Why, of course, run around the streets looking for cheese. Parachute using a wife beater to get stars. Run through the sewers chasing a bug. Recycle that same level, but force us to escape a cat driving a shoe-ass vehicle. Finally, use whatever this ungodly creation is to scare cats, wheeling our way to the end. Congratulations! Fievel has saved New York City from the cats and been reunited with his family. Maybe finally they can settle down and enjoy their new life in America. I've never once been envious of an anthropomorphic mouse, but that whole enjoy thing they're talking about, boy, do I want a piece of that. No matter the game I tried, entertainment is unattainable. I didn't cherry pick these games. My ass went on Giant Bomb, looked down the list, started choosing random ones, seeing where the road would take me, and this is how it went. Rabbit hole after rabbit hole, being flabbergasted with the lengths these guys took to be lazy in game development. Nothing but shock and horror, concocting the essence of Halloween through the guise of Wii games. Who needs a Jackson or a Frederick Cougar when you have Data Design Interactive's catalog? After wasting my time with all of these games, I had to go on their website just to see what they had to say for themselves. What fine gent used their negative 100 speech to give us blocks of text? Under the gallery tab, it says, Extreme Anxiety. Ever had the feeling there was something you should know, but you don't know what it is? This may cause you to suffer from anxiety attacks of the extreme kind. For instance, not knowing about the great games we have developed. We are here to help you out of your misery by revealing some of the games developed by Data Design Interactive. And they had the audacity to use pictures of Rock and Roll Adventures, Ninja Bread Man, Rig Racers 2, Myth Makers. Like, would any of these actually stop someone's anxiety or make it worse? Moving over to the technical tab, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. At Data Design Interactive, we have a no-nonsense approach to the development of games. We offer what the market demands and adjust our hardware, software, and skill base to accommodate that demand. Bullshit. Our game-oriented development system, or GODS, has made it possible to develop great games on a budget and to high quality. GODS allows faster, more efficient, and more reliable games development by standardizing common routines that are then stored within the GODS library system. Coding that would have taken days can now be done in minutes as our GODS system rapidly handles all aspects of game coding, including 3D objects and special effects, sprites and high-quality 24-bit maps, sound effects, music, and intro sequences. Artists are able to add, test, and change all graphics without affecting programmers. This allows programmers to continue working on and refining new game code while artists add and refine graphics. Artists are also able to place scenes and characters directly from their 3D rendering package into game code without any technical or time-consuming conversion processes. In this way, the project will be able to progress quickly and efficiently to the final product. That was a little bit of cosplaying like James Somerton reading that entire thing, but this definitely explains a lot of the situations we dealt with, and also to me kind of sounds a lot like early day AI generated game development. I'm sure if you're a corporate suit, you'd be creaming in your pants right now, but if you have any bit of humanity and look at video games as an art form, whether that is through how they are designed mechanically or visually, where's the passion or intrigue of creating something, looking back on the product, being happy about what you've made? It does not exist with these guys. On their site, Data Design even gives some insight on their portfolio, so you can get a scoop behind the scenes, and it seems they were struggling to find reasons why their games would sell. If you look under the blowing smoke up your ass segment, it says, "Why this will sell, a classic platform game with power-ups," which is a lie. Ninja Bread Man doesn't have power-ups, double jumps, moving platforms, and deadly enemies. Now, I'm sure these are earlier documents mocking some stuff up to fill space, at least I'd hope they are. If we're putting double jumps and moving platforms in our why this will sell section, we have some serious issues. That's not even the worst of it though. Right under the Rig Racers 2 section on this portfolio, there's a game called Battle Blades. It never released, but it says, gameplay, primarily a multiplayer game. The players must do battle using battle blades similar to the best-selling toy range, the Beyblades. Why this will sell? Riding on the success of the Beyblades toy and full-price PlayStation title, this game offers infinitely greater gameplay at a budget price. The designs, colors, and features are all accessible and appealing to the target audience. Can you even be mad at this point? These guys are straight up about it. They do not care. They were telling you publicly on their website, yeah, we're coattailing these guys, riding on their success, with the obvious lies tossed in there, of course, like saying infinitely greater gameplay. Judging on the 20 or so games I played, I don't think that statement is true. If it wasn't obvious enough, none of these were designed for players' enjoyment. They were only spawned into the world to make easy money by selling low-effort slop at a cheap price. And just like Phoenix Games and Blast Entertainment, it must have worked. Otherwise, so many of these titles wouldn't exist. Unfortunately, loads of young sailors out there wasted their time with these games. I'm glad I never did. With all that said, make sure to leave your thoughts about these games in the comments. Did they appear to be worth every second of playtime to you? Does Monster Trucks Arenas compete with titles like Gran Turismo and Ridge Racer? Does it blow them out of the water? Is DDU on top? Let me know. And big ups to our channel members. If you want to join them and support the channel further, hit the join button right next to the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, take very good care of yourselves, and I hope to see you all again in the next video.